So, dear participants, dear colleagues, and dear friends, it is my pleasure to welcome you on the second webinar this year of the webinar series for circular economy that we run in Serbia for a couple of years now. And it is our great pleasure actually to be part of the Circular Week series of events. And as well as this webinar actually is part of our greater event, Balkans Go Circular, about which I will tell a little bit later. My name is Milan Veselinov, and I will be hosting this wonderful, friendly talk about the SME sector and the innovation that pushes circular economy forward. The thing is that we know that the bottom-up approach is something that we need to foster, that we need to support, being that more than 90% of global economy is run by SME sector, and more than 50% of the turnover, or at the end also of the profit, is responsible. The SME sector is actually responsible for more than 50% of the turnover globally. So this is our golden mine, I would say, for the circular innovation and for circular change. And here and there, we are witnessing greater development. Here and there, we're witnessing also barriers about development, but also something that is very important, and that supporting system that creates so valuable niche surrounding, guarded surrounding, or at least financially supported surrounding that minimizes risk of failure and therefore pushes novelty or pushes new products and services, and in general innovation to the market. Without these support systems, there will be much harder to break through with completely new paradigm, which comes with circular economy. And therefore, it is really my great pleasure to welcome the speakers from various fields, actually from all the fields that I've mentioned. And we would have an SME sector in very responsible packaging production here in Serbia, but globally as well. And therefore, I welcome Ms. Marija Pantelic, Chief Business Sustainability Officer from BOSIS. Welcome.
Thank you.
Then with me, we have Ms. Milenkovic, Ivanka Milenkovic, which is actually founder, director of very innovative bio-oriented, right? SME or a startup called Ekofungi. SME is okay. MSME, right? Micro.
Yes,
MSME.
MSME.
Welcome, Ivanka.
Thank you.
Then we have Mr. Aleksandar Goracinov, which is a director of SME Hub, position also in Serbia, that serves the SMEs to actually prosper. Welcome, Mr. Goracinov. Thank you. And at the end, as this is a hybrid event, we are very happy to welcome Mr. Ismar Ceremida, Sustainability Growth Sector Leader from UNDP Bosnia and Herzegovina. Mr. Ceremida, I hope that you can hear us well. If yes. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully this is a minor thing, and we can move on actually with the presentation. So if I can ask the technical support to put the presentation on. Thank you. So yeah, as we had mentioned who are our speakers today, I would like to just briefly introduce the surrounding or the environment or the system that we are together creating, but also that we are part of. At the I would say at the forefront of the development of SME innovation in regards to circular economy, there are multiple reports, there are multiple research talking about what are the needs, what are the barriers, and what are the opportunities, not only for the SME sector, but for the whole economy. And I would just point out a couple of things here about which I guess they could be maybe not cornerstones, but maybe some sticky factors around which we can also go into deeper discussion. So one of the researchers tells us that circular economy adoption will lead to superior environmental performance, not only for these companies, but actually for the whole economy. So, and SME sector is actually very important here. Policymakers and customers have distinct roles to facilitate circular economy adoption in SMEs. So that's the supporting system, but also the accepting system. If we don't have customers that are changing their roles, that are changing their behavior actually in their value system, it's going to be harder for the SME to just, or to any kind of new product to just break through. The third one is that SME's self-motivation to adopt circular economy will be influenced by customers and policymakers. That's actually the vice versa. Okay, SME influence the policymakers, but also the other way around. Each circular economy field, sorry, can we go back with the presentation? Thank you. Yeah, just try double click something. Double click. Nice. Switching windows. That's technology. So each circular economy field of action distinctly contributes to SMEs' overall sustainability for performance. So that's again the exterior internal effect to the SME sector. And then circular economy field of action recover needs attention to enhance SME sustainability performance. These are a couple of conclusions from a work that we can talk about the interplay between SMEs, policymaker, and customers. And that's actually the very important trio that we need to continue discussing and actually developing solutions about. Four levers of change about how to transfer to the circular economy. Definitely something that we'll also see in one slide later is organizational change in skills and culture, which means that we need from the culture, and I'm very happy that we have two speakers here that can definitely talk about how the culture inherently not only changes, but it grounds the shift towards more sustainable business. Procurement and supply chain management, we know all about the return systems, the deposit systems, if we talk about packaging, but also for the reverse logistics, if we talk about a little bit more complex products such as mobile phones, monitors, electrical equipment, etc. Very important thing, not only for the downstream, which means that we can recover, but also for the upstream, that we need to source and actually implement viable and, well, benign materials to the environment, so we can create a design for circular economy, so design of the products for circular economy. Then the third one is green finance. I think that if not here too much, then definitely we will talk more about this aspect on our conference that is on the 22nd of November. And at the end, but maybe for some, even the biggest push is public policy. If we don't create a regulatory system that allows materials to come back, there is nothing to be happening about circular economy. But also on the other hand, if we don't create some safe surrounding about the development of new solutions, again, we'll have a very hard time to break through. And finally, I would like to point out a couple of things that we have done in recent years. There was the assessment of needs or needs assessment in the region in regards to circular economy. We were talking about what people, or actually what SME sector knows and what they don't know, what are their needs towards circular economy. And one and prevailing thing was a recognition of new business opportunities through circular economy. So still, we can see that the circular economy is part of environmental narrative, not really much taken as a business opportunity. So this is something that we saw as people that want to become successful in their business don't still see what are their market opportunities. And then second largest thing is something that we are doing and helping for many years now is knowledge and skills. In many discussions that we have in this research, there were two evident factors. One, we don't have technical skills for this, or we don't know even if we have it, because we don't know what is the technical requirement for circular economy transition. And second is we don't know what is the first step to make in order to go into this circular voyage or circular journey. So these are some of the things that we can maybe continue talk if participants also, and if our panelists here see fitting to discuss more about the topic. But I would conclude with the slide that all of this is actually part of the greater event that we're organizing on the 22nd, and everything that we start now, we hope that we can continue also on the bigger event, where we'll talk about three different areas, one of which is regulatory demands, not only regulatory opportunities or needs, but regulatory demands that will come already in 2024. So business have to shift towards circular conduct. The second one would be to meet the requirement of the big part of the value chain or the supply chain, so the big players, towards the smaller players, again, SME sector. So we need to facilitate the supply chain that we mentioned just 2 slides before. And finally, but maybe even most importantly, is where and how to find financial support on these journey or in these developments. I also would like to invite all the participants that are currently follow us to actually go on the website and see what is happening on the Balkans Go Circular Conference. And if you would like, finally go and register now for the event. This will be a hybrid event, so no worries. You don't have to travel all over to Belgrade. We also want to reduce the carbon emissions of all our events, and that's also why we're supporting this kind of virtual or hybrid moments in our lives. I think that we had enough of introduction on this topic, so I would like to start actually with the introduction of my speakers, and therefore first word I would like to give to Ms. Pantelic, and talk a little bit about the circular packaging, or actually what is the transition, what are the changes, and what is the basis of embedding circularity in your business. But let's start with your professional background. What was your role, or what is your role in BOSIS, and how your company actually sees these global shifts towards circularity? There are many things to learn from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Where to start with introduction? Hello, everyone. My name is Marija Pantelic. At this moment, I'm at the position of Chief Business Sustainability Officer in BOSIS company. I'm the representative of second generation, so that's a good proof that we have that circularity in the family and that sustainability. Besides that, for the last 10 years, I'm very active in my mission, trying to explain that all of these things are not only for multinationals and for big companies, that all those things should be integrated into SMEs, and those things about circularity, sustainability, CSR, ESGs are a must if we are doing business now in these market conditions. And besides that, I'm also teaching assistant at the university, trying to bridge the gap between theory and industry, academia and industry in these topics and in this field.
And how is BOSIS feeling the change, or actually how it is fitting into the puzzle of circular economy, right?
Yes, when we're talking about the shift, they always want to tell, oh, it's not a shift, we are already ready, because working on a market nowadays in a supply chain of big multinationals and companies, this is a must. But if I go some steps back, I think that we actually had the luxury, because we are producing packaging for the FMCG industry. So whatever we are producing packaging for, our kids, our family members, neighbors are eating at home and drinking. So from the very beginning, we had in mind that sense that, okay, we are eating that chocolate or that cookie, so we have to think that everything is clean on the floor, and that packaging is safe. So that's the real start, and that's a good base. And the companies, we are one of the leaders on the market for cardboard and laminated packaging. The company is established in 1982, so it had its own roots. So we started with being ISO 19001 certified. So that's also one good base. And now we were ready for all of this. And some years ago, we launched one big project. It's called BOSIS Circle. It's all about everything about circularity. And we started working on choosing the right materials in order to make the product which is 100% recyclable. So we worked on with our suppliers of raw materials in choosing the best materials, labeled materials, and then we turned that into other model to cooperate with our clients and our suppliers with research and development and eco-design, so-called eco-design, to develop packaging which has more functions, which has different structure, which can be made from less material, have better performances for the environment and for all of that. And in that process, because the whole project lasts for many years now, we even changed our business model into from B2B to B2C. Okay. So in all of that's great experience. We had great results with the clients, because when we are developing packaging, we always, because our employees, our clients, their family members and whoever are using those products. So when we are developing packaging, we are always thinking about end customer in all that process, so we can improve that packaging. And that's one big part. Beside that, we worked a lot. We had digital transformation, so we worked a lot on optimization, manufacturing. We made our own manufacturing execution system, which helped us a lot to do the optimization of the production processes, of logistics, and all those ordinary things. But what is the most specific in this project is that it's a part of organizational culture, yeah. And at the same time, responsibility and sustainability are the core business values of the company. So whatever we are doing, even that BOSIS Circle project and everything which is related to environment, we are putting all of that into the individual level, so that each employee and each person in the circle can feel what they are doing and show their responsibility. It's whatever. It's not only in circularity, but in everything we do. That, for example, it's the most simple example is that the lady who is cleaning the floor, she's responsible to clean that, because if it's not clean, the boxes her kids eat cookies from are dirty. So that's the kind of responsibility, and it's sustainable. She knows that's the value. What's the value for the business? Customers will not return the boxes back to us, and at the same time, it's the thing that she's sustainable. That means that her colleague will not clean after her. So it's all about organizational culture and strict values. So it's much easier to implement all of that. So I think that we're ready for that. It's not a shift.
Yeah. Well, two very interesting things that I've heard now was, well, actually, that was mentioned in the first slide, yes. And that I'm very happy. Organizational culture is very important for for organization to live the change or live the circularity or whatever sustainable endeavor they're in. And the second one is that the big ones are actually going to influence the small ones in the value and supply chain, which was also one of the main conclusions, and that you could actually feel on in your
yes.
well,
And I'll just make one more reflection. It's BOSIS circular project. It's something which is technical thing actually, and it's okay. It's like a project, you work on that. It lasts for some years, and you have some steps to implement this or that. It's okay, but the most difficult part and the toughest part, the soft thing, is that we invested lots of time in working on awareness of the people, because I see that we don't have that awareness for ecology, for environment, circularity in the country. So we worked a lot on increasing the awareness in our circle, and at the same time lots of trainings to show people what are the benefits and what are the advantages for all of us from that.
Perfect. One thing that was not mentioned in slides that you mentioned is that SMEs maybe will not have to, but it's good if they also experiment with new business models. Maybe we'll come back to that if you are willing to tell us a little bit more about this business to consumer part. But before that, I would like to jump to Mr. Ceremida. I hope that you can hear us, and huge apologize for not having you introduced. So I'll definitely repeat this. Mr. Ceremida, which is with us, is our friend and colleague and supporter of circularity in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And I think under his cap, all the systemic change that is happening there is not his responsibility, but his achievement. So he's a sustainability growth sector leader from UNDP Bosnia and Herzegovina, and it's very great pleasure to have you with us here, Mr. Ceremida.
Hello, I hope you hear me well. I hear you perfectly, so everything is fine on my end.
Perfect. Then I would immediately jump to the first question. We've seen something about the change in business models. We've seen something about the change in culture, and I know that you are working in value chains and transforming them in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And I would like to give a little bit of context about what is happening there. So why don't you tell us in brief what are your recent successes in the SME sector in Bosnia and Herzegovina in the transition towards circularity, and in all these shifts, smaller or bigger, what do you see as a market need? So not maybe as a hypothetical, not as a normative need, but what is something that you also would be we're able to see on the ground as a market need. So successes and market need. Thank you very much.
Okay, when it comes to successes, I must say that UNDP in Bosnia and Herzegovina is working on circular economy for quite some time now. I would say probably 5 or 6 years on different interventions, different ways of kind of thinking how to introduce circularity into the country. And the process was not always easy. At times we were alone in this process, doing something that was very almost avant-garde, if I may say, at least in the region. And it was a very kind of strange situation for development agency to go into the field that nobody knows anything about. Luckily, in the last 2 years, I think the circularity as a topic exploded around the globe, but also in the region in particular. And we have more and more different events, organizations talking about it and doing something with circular economy in mind. Also, private sector as such is pulling their weight tremendously and is really eager to actually jump on the or not to miss the train, if I maybe to say it better, when it comes to sustainability practices, because they finally realize that this is something that's opening new markets and they are giving them business sense and business opportunities that otherwise they would not maybe have in doing the business the old way. So in terms of successes, I think there are many really good examples in Bosnia and Herzegovina, but also across the region, if you want to expand it. with companies large and small doing wonderful things when it comes to circular economy. In terms of, I mean, the kind of the easiest way is to actually use renewable energy as a source, you know. So if you are putting your solar panels on the roof and things like that, which is great, but I'm not going to mention those because this is something that's happening already for quite some time. But what's interesting is that really large businesses, as the colleague said in the previous iteration, is bringing closer to the circularity, to the standards, smaller companies within their supply or value chain. And this is quite important step forward, because we already know that smaller companies cannot really introduce all the standards on their own. So they need to have some kind of, I would say, business sense in terms of market acceptance in order to actually invest in those technologies, in those processes. So if we talk about successes, I think one of the success from our end is on the policy level, that more and more policy makers, ministries are really thinking hard how to embed circular economy principles within their strategic frameworks. And UNDP in Bosnia and Herzegovina is doing now 3 different strategic frameworks for industries, which will have as a backbone circularity in place. And this is a great opportunity to really create business conducive environment for circularity in the country. Without that, as you said in your opening statement, many things will not be possible. The second success is that more and more companies are really thinking hard how to improve their business operation. They fully understand that circularity is not really just about cost saving, but moreover about really market access. And this is the important shift in thinking when it comes to businesses, to really realize how I can be more competitive if I introduce a product which is made out of 30% recycled textile, or if I can use my waste that is generated through the production to generate additional value for the company, etc., etc. And these things are happening now, where we don't see much movement, and this is really great opportunity to talk at the end of November with you and your guest, is financing or financial frameworks. And we see that banking sector in general is a little bit lagging behind when it comes to, I would say green finance, or, making funds available for circular projects. And this is something that we really need to work with them jointly to build financial products that are going to be much more tailored towards circular economy projects. So this is not, they cannot really be treated as the same project as any other financing agreement. So they need to have their own niche, they need to have their own criteria, risk appetites, etc., in order to facilitate the investment itself. And this is where we see maybe probably the biggest opportunity for the upcoming 12 months to really develop tailor-made products for green investments, because also the banking sector is not really knowledgeable, if I may say, to recognize what the impact of the green project is, and how they can distinguish between really good green product and not so good one. So this is something where we see our role also to support the financial institutions to build their capacities to be able to create those products. So when it comes now, the last part of the question was, I think, about value chain. Obviously very important. Most of the Western Balkan countries and companies operating are export-oriented companies. And that being said, they are part already of the global value chain. And in that sense, they have to adhere to the global EU relevant standards. For example, we all know that Germany published the law on suppliers, which is going to impact pretty much everybody, if not directly, then indirectly. So companies need to prepare. And what we often see is that the companies think they can make the change overnight, which is very difficult to do. And our role, our joint role, needs to be to kind of demystify the changes and tell them that this is really not yet another compliance mechanism, but really opportunity to comply with the rules quicker than maybe the competition, and then grab the market that's huge from their own competition. So it's a vehicle to actually be more competitive than they are today. And the last thing before I stop is I think somebody mentioned also the changes in culture or changes in behavior in awareness about circular economy. And this is probably the most important part of discussion. That's why we are also maybe today here, because we really need to change how people think about sustainability, how they value sustainable products. Colleague Pantelic can probably talk about that more because she is dealing with various different products that are selling on the market. But this is highly relevant and highly important to make sure consumers know what they are buying and what is the impact of the sustainable product or green product and non-green product. So this needs to be very clearly said and presented to the consumer so they can make a sound decision while buying the product.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ceremida. So a couple of conclusions from my side that I heard as new, or at least enforcing things that we are working on is banks are waking up. So financial sector is waking up, asking for the models of how to contribute to the circular shift. Secondly, our industries and our products are part of usually international value and supply chains, and therefore standards would be part of what they need to adopt to, but not for the sake of standards, but for the sake of opening the new, well, as you said very nicely, retaining or gaining a new market access as a circular company at the end of the day. I would definitely want to come back on this a little bit later because we had similar I would say conclusions from our field work, but also, as you mentioned, we will talk more about the financing and supporting sector on the 22nd of November. If you don't mind, I would ask our next panelist. I wanted to say last. That would be a mistake. Our next panelist, Ms. Milenkovic, that works and actually that founded the Ekofungi MSME, or small but very innovative actor on the field in Serbia. And we would really like to know more about the project, then about the product that you developed, and then actually about the system that you created around this. So tell us a little bit more about what is the path of the arc of this kind of small innovative actor towards the market. What doors did you have to open? What doors remain shut or right still? Well, that's yeah. And what is actually the feeling? What is the pathway of your development towards the market?
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for inviting me for talking on behalf of SME. And I really would like to tell, not because that I want to be so maybe arrogant, but just to emphasize that we had been recognized like a first circular company, you know, Milan, that in 2018. And it's happened that, yes, we are circular. The point is that I am a biologist. I'm doing a mushroom business, and mushroom business is by itself circular. And in this moment, I would like just to give you our experience, and maybe it will be also be very much helpful for understanding of the challenges of other colleagues who are facing with, or maybe to encourage them, or maybe to give a message to policymaker that they can play on that game. In fact, first of all, I would like to say that every single agriculture farm, old-fashioned agriculture farm, is in fact circular. So old-fashioned circular agriculture farm is circular. So circularity is something special. And circularity does not fall from the sky. It is not super innovative model. It's just a logical model for doing, let's say, business. In my case, agriculture, but all other sort. It is our problem that we turn everything upside down and we made everything linear, everything crude, everything tough, everything simple. And in fact, we've forgotten what is the natural aspect of doing one business. Okay, I'm talking about agriculture because it is my field, but I'm absolutely aware that we can apply that on and all other subjects. So, doing mushroom business, in fact, is utilization of something which is the secondary product from previous production cycle into the next. And it is super often it's very often hear the sentence. But what is the point? Point is that we became circular in order to survive. And that's why I told you that maybe this our example can be useful, because in order to survive, Ekofungi became an innovative and circular, which means that we use something which is, okay, not free of charge, because immediately when somebody recognizes that you need it, immediately it will start to be costly. But at the end of the day, it is still cheaper. So you use something which is a secondary product from farming, from cows farm, horse farm, whatever, agriculture sector, use and produce high quality food. So this is the circular. And I had never became circular because somebody decided to do that. We became circular in order to have a sustainable business because, and then second thing, which is super important, it is knowledge and it is understanding of all what you are doing. So this idea that we will become circular because somebody decide to be circular doesn't work. Entrepreneur, I'm talking about small entrepreneur, but also and about when we are talking about the big and corporation, they need to understand the process, which means that we need to know what we are doing. So with circularity, we are making Milan circular income and the multiplication of the cash flow. And this is the most important, which very often is forgotten in all this our talking, because instead to have one product in the beginning and last mushroom at the end, we have a lot of other, let's say, intermediate product, and little by little create some additional cash flow which provide for us capacity to survive.
I would just like to stop on one thing that you mentioned, which is knowledge and doing. And actually, maybe I'm wrong, but and correct me if I'm wrong, but you started learning by doing things, right? You've invented, well, you as a biologist, you came to the innovation, but all the market setup, you didn't just read, get to know, and then apply it, but it's a constant process of doing and learning and maybe stepping down, not stepping down, but stepping back, and stepping forward, and maybe stepping down.
Of course, I'm stepping down very often. Yes, and this is also something, but I will come back on all this story. I will not want to talk about Ekofungi. We had a fantastic idea to collect extra products from all organic farmers in Serbia, to collect, to process, to create innovative product which will become in category, which drop in category of fancy food, etc., etc. So this is what we are doing. But based on that experience, I would like to emphasize, first of all, without markets, and Mr. Our colleague from Bosnia just mentioned, excuse me, without market And it was my serious mistake. I was super enthusiastic, and I was thinking, oh, now when we are drop on the market with our circular organic product, everybody will fall in love, and we will be so super in with all that. And what is conclusion? Totally wrong. We had made a terrible failure, just like you say, step down. Why? Because at the end of the day, we need to educate the market if we want to create demand. Second, we are not cheap. And this is second big mistake. Don't expect that you will become cheap, that your product will be available to everybody. We need to educate the market, all other sectors, to understand why it is better to buy my product, which is this and that, than to buy something where half is produced, I don't know where and how, and I don't want to talk about the competitors. But so this is the point. So all of us are on the market, and if we do not have response, second, I have to tell you, Milan, our investment for one small enterprise, micro enterprise here in Serbia is significant. We did not have any single support from absolutely. We had the 2 innovative projects, and thank very much for Innovative Fund, but it is just because it was innovation, and that's all. That was all. We are just ordinary SME on the market. Bank sector absolutely does not recognize what does it mean. They only looking in Excel sheet. Policymaker, absolutely. There is nothing of even discussion. You know how much time, at least you and me, had participated on different conferences and talk and whatever. That's only that letter on the paper. So we need to work very hard on education and producer and actor in the business, but also in our market. We need to educate people who are able to pay for the product, good packaging, my organic, whatever, my mushrooms or whatever, why it is better to pay something like that than to pay something cheap. Trust me, I can write a study about that, how it is difficult to convince the market, and not only consumers, but also retailers. Also, and I have a chance, maybe it is good for me, that I have huge network outside of Serbia, outside of Balkan, and then you can compare total different approach, total different support in all aspects, from schooling, yes, and knowledge access. So my message and my experience tells that first of all, we need to know what we are doing. We need to be educated entrepreneurs. Then we have to be entrepreneurs at the end of the day, because also without that push of entrepreneur, it is very difficult. And finally, we need all together not to expect that miracle will happen. We need on our Balkan region, as far as this is Balkan initiative, to talk and to educate from the kindergarten how it is important to use something which is sustainable, and not use word sustainable just because it is fancy word, but to understand what does it mean being sustainable. So
thank you very much, Ivanka. So 2 things that I would pull from this one, maybe also as a hook for further discussion, because I know that there are some connection points already happening between the speakers. One is that entrepreneurship is important, and then in circular economy, learning by doing is something that is, the thing to go, the only way to go. We cannot learn something by heart and then go with a simple scheme and implement it. It's kind of a case-by-case scenario. The second thing I think I forgot. Oh no, the second thing is actually knowledge and bringing awareness to ourselves, to the market, but also maybe I would rephrase, I would take the freedom to rephrase it, maybe not to educate the consumer, but to bring the opportunity of creating new value. Because if they have this value, as you said, in the sustainability part, if they have this value in themselves, then they would choose with their wallet. We, us, me, you, and all of us will choose with their wallet differently, and then actually have additional support system to this kind of market to grow, and then maybe something that is not so I would say long-term viable to maybe diminish in the importance.
Yeah, thank you, Milan. Yes, it is. It's very important, and I think that without creating of the atmosphere of importance, of understanding, I don't think, and I think that it is also a very good option to create some sort of the network, informal network of all of us. But I do believe that only what we can do is the bottom-up approach, that if we wait that somebody from upper level do something for us.
That's actually one of our mandates in CirEkon, to create a functioning, collaborating network to exchange experience, knowledge, and then push the development faster. But just because of that, I would also connect with Mr. Goracinov. First, apologize. It was 40-something minutes, right? Okay. But the question that I would like to ask you is so SME Hub serves to SMEs as a supporting system. Tell us a little bit more about what system are you building? How do you support SMEs to development? Maybe not circularity at this point, but maybe if you have any plans or going into that direction, what would that look like, at least, if not on the paper, then in your hand? Also, maybe sourcing from everything that we said right now.
First, I must say that these 40 minutes were very insightful for me. There are so many interesting things. So it's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me. When it comes to SME Hub, I would like to say that SME Hub is a project derived from public-private partnership between Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation and Serbian company ICT Hub. We are aiming to transform 80 companies in the next 5 years, meaning that we are here basically to help them to transform their business operation in a wider sense, not only in the ecology area, so they can meet the requirements of multinational companies operating in Serbia. So what we actually do, we are a matchmaking company. We are trying to address demand and supply on the Serbian market. And by doing that, we are there for the multinationals if they want to source locally, which is quite the case nowadays after the coronavirus, especially. And when they need someone from the local market, local supplier, quality local supplier, we are there for them, to help them, to support them through that process. And on the other side, the most important thing is that we are helping those SMEs who are interested in becoming to become a supplier to multinationals. We are helping them to meet all the requirements in the sense of whether it's professionalization of management, whether it's process optimization, whether we are talking about certification or licensing, whether we are talking about organizational transformation in general. So that's something that we are covering throughout our project. And that's something that is our focus basically. And vis-a-vis how is that connected with circular economy, I have to say that Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation, they are very adamant about the fact that we need to address those companies who are responsible in the ecological way. That's one of the main key impact indicators, as they call it, which we follow. So we are always looking at the companies in the sense whether are they reducing their pollution, air, water pollution, are they reducing their waste, hazardous or not hazardous one, are they ready to let's say have some other raw materials instead of the existing ones which are viable, which are sustainable, etc., etc.
So there are also two things that I would like to point out from your side. One is actually very insightful for me, and there was the shift in how supporting agencies plan. So, okay, maybe you have KPIs, but you have introduced KIIs, right? Key impact indicators, and therefore starting to prioritize to the smaller or bigger extent. We don't have to go in that one, but at least starting to prioritize and recognize what are the companies that do commit to the not only ecologic but also circular factors or circular conduct, which is very important for also the growth. And then at the end, some companies just because of that will be in the basket. Let's help them. The other ones would not not have that standard or not have that indicator fulfilled.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I don't know if any of the speakers do have remarks on the other speakers or maybe connecting points. I did see some writing and some thinking and some yeah. So I would like to invite anything that actually came as a natural response to everything that we said.
I would actually like to reflect on something that you said at the beginning regarding the opportunities that come with circular economy. Coincidentally, I have some experience with hazardous waste management in the past, and I really firmly believe that there are so many opportunities in the ecology sector that people are not aware of. So that's something that need to be tackled, because I really think that ecology, especially in Serbia now, is a sector where there is not so many fresh ideas. There is not so many competition. Barriers to enter are high. That's true. Problems on the market are when on the policy side, and whether it's we are talking about praxis. When you have an idea, you think everything is going very well, but again, when you encounter the real life, you're thinking twice about what you're gonna do. But nevertheless, there is no such saturation in the ecological sector, at least from my point of view. So that's something that I wanted just to refer on.
I think that all the speakers mentioned the education as a key point of, but not only education, what is circularity, but education about opportunities in this field, right?
And understanding of the process, because there is no process on the global process in all aspects of technology, doing business, where careful thinking about certain situation will not lead into the better solution. I think there is nothing, but we need, and when we say Milan, education, I don't think only on the formal education in school. We need to increase awareness, and maybe that can be titled as education, and to teach the importance of all aspects of environment, ecology, circularity, doing business, and create a total different atmosphere. Yeah. We need that.
Green entrepreneurship.
Call whatever color, but just some really green or blue or whatever, but entrepreneurship which will understand what's doing.
So entrepreneurs.
Maybe if I can contribute.
Yes.
Please.
I think this is quite important aspect of introducing or implementing circular economy principles within the private sector, within the company. What we have seen so far is that companies, even though they somewhat understand what needs to be done, and they are really consciously deciding, okay, I would like to make my business more sustainable and more circular. Very often they are lacking capacities, internal capacities to actually do what's necessary in terms of transitioning towards circular economy within their business. And for that particular reason, it's very important what also colleague said a few moments ago, to not to educate, but to really kind of increase capacities and know-how on different aspects of opportunities, but also how to actually apply those opportunities, those tools that are available to my business context. Because circularity, you cannot really copy it. There is no blueprint for implementation for anything, being policy level within the company or roadmap. There's none. You cannot really just take something that even within your own sector takes what your competition is doing and apply to your own business. It's not going to work, most likely. So you need to really think critically within your own organization, see your strengths and weaknesses, opportunities, and then based on those, devise the plan for the implementation of or for the transition, if you wish. And this is quite important step, which unfortunately we don't see yet happening. And that's why UNDP works very diligently to improve the overall ecosystem for businesses, being business service support organization, being hubs, accelerators, all kinds of this support ecosystem that feeds into the businesses so that they can rely on somebody who knows maybe more about the topic than they do, and then really start implementing those things in the field properly. So this is absolutely critical point, and thank you for mentioning it before.
Mr. Ceremida, what I wanted to connect is actually the point of increasing capacity of bigger and smaller actors. And my question was, why don't they accept this, or why don't they not inherit but include this into their daily operation? And then trying to answer to myself, I came to the conclusion that usually at least in this region, we are facing something that is called short-termism. So not maybe by choice, but maybe also by conditions that are around.
Absolutely.
So
I mean,
this is the question that I could ask anyone to answer. If anyone wants to reflect, Mr. Ceremida, please. But if not, then we will continue on our conference.
No, I absolutely agree with you, because the companies, I mean, the business enabling environment within the Western Balkans is not really great. There, I mean, across the countries, regardless where you look at. And because of that, businesses have adopted to the situation where they need to be really quick, really agile to survive. And I think the lack of long-term perspective comes from the, from that notion that I need to survive today, regardless what's going to happen in 5 days, if I can simplify it in that way. So, which is going to create long-term problems for the companies, because they need to really think long-term. They need to really develop strategies. Sometimes those strategies are going to be very difficult to implement. They will not have immediate results, because you might work 9 months on something and without any results, and on the 10th month everything explodes and you are there where you intended to be. So this is what we see as an issue and really big challenge to ensure the companies really think long-term. That's why I also said at the beginning that the standards that are imposed by the European Union cannot be implemented overnight. You really need to think, what does this mean to me as a company, and which investments I need to make in the next 2, 3, 5 years to get there. Very often this is not the case, and it's easier for companies just to say, okay, I'm going to lose those customers, I will just look somewhere else because I cannot adapt that quickly. And this is what we are missing across the board in the Western Balkans.
Thank you very much. I would just conclude with this one, that in this, not only standards, but a new way of work and requirements of bigger supply chain actors, we need to create a system or supporting system. So the way that I understood this conversation so far is we need to create a system that diminishes or minimizes risk of failure in these so that it can free our minds, if nothing else, to plan in regards to circular economy. Then financial support, but for the sake of going into innovation, not for the sake of supporting survival in some sense is definitely going forward. And then thirdly, implement this impact-oriented everything. So investment, engaging, supporting. So we include impact indicators into everything that we do. Marija, please. Sorry.
I will make one reflection on all of this. I was thinking about the awareness and training and everything. it's okay. We have to increase the awareness, but at the same time, we have to change maybe the way we talk about circularity and about everything. I'm always, when I'm talking with people on the floor, trying to make, I'm one of those who are trying, who is working with students and people, ordinary people on the floor, and trying to make all the things simple. So I'm always telling, okay, we're talking about circularity, we are talking about ecology. It's very simple. The biggest expert for circularity is my granny. She's making lunch, and from the rest of the lunch, she's reusing that and make the new one. That's the story about sustainability. Next day, my parents, and when I come after work at lunch at her place, I will not be hungry. So that's we will survive. That's a story about sustainability, and this is about recycling, reuse, and everything. So let's make things simple, and that's if we make that way, people will understand, and they will find a benefit for them if they understand. If you tell, okay, this is circular, GHG or something, SDGs. My brother is always making jokes. Can you tell us something normal world? So words. So that's a question. And at the same time, we have a huge barrier, because big companies, big supply chains, they're talking about all of this mostly in English to small, and one small company from the neighborhood from Valjevo. Even our company is not located in Valjevo. It's 10 kilometers from Valjevo, and people are local people working there. And when you tell them, they have resistance to change. And you have a big gap between big and small businesses. So they think, okay, this is for big companies, this is not for me. They don't understand. And if you put them with all those words, procedures in English, so that's quite difficult. And then they think most of the time, this is not for me, it's not time, although it's last 10 years we're talking about this is actual topic, but they think, oh, it will be soon, when we get the regulation, we will get, and they're not understanding that this is a question of doing business with purpose, and we are more expensive like you, because we are doing business with purpose. We have benefits of circularity, but it helps us survive. But at the same time, we have also, in all those environmental issues, we have some costs, return on investment, which is not so quickly. So we have to maybe to talk about all of that in different way. And even in the supply chains, we are pushed with big supply chains. We are, for the last 9 years, from our major clients, we have they require us to have independent assessment on Smita-Sedex platform and on EcoVadis. And that's something, one of the big companies, one Coca-Cola, Henkel, or Nestle, they will not tell, oh, this BOSIS company, maybe they don't, they're in their quarter, maybe some of them don't know where we are located if we make something bad. They will not say BOSIS did this or that. They will say Coca-Cola supplier, that's a bad PR for the company, that's on the exchange market, it's the loss. So that's decreasing the risk. And if you want to be in a serious business, to do business with big companies, you have to have some standards of work, because in the whole game, everyone wants to decrease the risk of their doing business.
Excuse me, but I have to add one thing. When we drop into that aspect of big and small, I'm sorry, it will be maybe not political correct, and I'm entrepreneur. I am no. I am entrepreneur, and I am free to say we are facing with the huge hypocrisy in the big companies. No, in big companies, yes. In sense, in that multinational corporation, in that sense, yes. And what is this? What I will give you example. I told to the colleague, excuse me, I didn't know exactly where you are involved in. Ekofungi is micro company with some knowledge situated in Belgrade. We have done the first sustainable circular project for Nestle Africa, which had been declared like first circular project for global Nestle company, where we had used such a simple thing, spent coffee grain after doing coffee extraction and blah, blah, for mushroom purpose. So one Nestle, which is Nestle, we all of you, we know, just use that micro example and create the story like that they change the world.
But they also have the potential to scale it.
Yes, and do you know what's happened? They had never tested the quality of those mushrooms. Yes, because they didn't trust in our test of the quality, but they want to check that in Germany, India, yeah, Japan, I don't know where. And then we had never received the confirmation about the quality. So they said, super, we had made super circular project, but sustainable, really lasting of that project, nothing. But on the other side, we have, you are also small in compare with I'm just small, I am big company, but in that sense, we are still we always have to prove, to confirm, to add, to enlist, to check, we have to do that with full responsibility, and they can say nothing. So that is hypocrisy par excellence.
These are
I have to add that because you told Nestle and your project, because 10 years ago, it was a big project for hiring young people under 35. Nestle had that project, and we made, because we have strategy for employment, youth employment, and also they took our strategy and gave to all their suppliers in the chain, and it was a big celebration, and nobody told that the project was small companies, and all of us did even more, but they made a huge celebration, a huge promotion. So some of those things are even marketing and those things,
Only
and
marketing.
we are only marketing, and we are in the chain that we have to prove all of that. I know when we have that EcoVadis, we are platinum supplier. EcoVadis, that's a platform for assessment of suppliers in supply chain. The most complex one for 10 days, we are just uploading the documents for all the processes and everything. We are platinum, and whenever, because in our company, even my parents who are the owners of the company think, oh, that's okay, we are platinum, but that's a huge job. Without that, you can't work with multinationals, and you have to prove that you have results in all those pillars of sustainability, and at the same time to show the improvement each year. So you have to work a lot.
There are a couple of aspects here. First, I would like to return us to the topic, which is SME and innovation part.
To talk.
Yeah, exactly. And the second part is that big players do have a huge amount of influence on where the wind will flow. So if the decision is to comply with the new standards, international, as Mr. Ceremida mentioned, one of them is European Union standards, then that means that a lot of things will spill over to the supply chain and to the smaller and smaller actors. And one thing that you've mentioned as well is that the bigger players are also taking the reputational risk if the smaller part of the supply chain is not performing in accordance to the requirements of the customers or consumer market, but also with the regulation. So these are the big and David and Goliath. And I would like to maybe put two things as for my technical team to maybe write this down. Two things that we can maybe organize webinars is big and small. What are the connection points? And the second one is short-termism. Why in this one, and how to battle this through circular economy? I guess these are two things that we can continue. And third?
I think that most useful,
yeah,
and trust me, it is a conference small with small.
Small and small.
So I mean, small and
exchange, right?
yeah, Because it is the only, because one day you will have a super successful webinar, big and small, and tomorrow nothing. Trust me, that is
Small and
experience. So small and small, and if something can be changed, only that is the way.
Yes,
Small
the
with small. Yes.
big companies are not playing with the same toys. So
We need to-
it's totally different.
Ladies, I'm
different
sorry,
challenges
we need to have the
Yes.
equality criteria here. So also welcome Mr. Goracinov and Mr. Ceremida on the field. If you have some remarks, because before I give the time to audience to answer some of the questions. Mr. Ceremida and Goracinov, do you have any remarks on the, or maybe what can I say?
Not at the moment. I mean, maybe we can give audience the opportunity to ask questions and then we can move on. Thank you.
May we have
Yeah, I'm thinking about something that I mentioned that the short term is. I can share one of the stories from the field because we are very active and working with both sides, with global companies and SMEs in Serbia. So what I hear a lot from let's say supplier managers from multinational companies, that they're not satisfied, or at least they're looking for some larger vision from our SMEs. So they say that they're encountering too many companies which are not specialized in the sense they can do everything. So if they're manufacturing something in the pharmaceutical industry, they're ready to go and work for automotive industry. They will approach the multinational and say, give me the job, I can do everything. But it's not simple like that. And when they ask them about the vision, about the long-term goals,
Exactly.
they don't have a vision, unfortunately. That's some number of companies. Of course, BOSIS is one of the ones which are having really a quite large picture in their business operations. I prize that. So that's something that multinationals are encountering on the field. But again, those SMEs, they don't understand why are these guys complicating things, because everything is very simple. I can manufacture it and I can have clothes. So these are two completely, as we said, big and small. That may be the direction that we should go, where there is some mix of information and exchanging experience, because there are small companies who are doing business with large companies, right? Those other small companies can learn something from those other. So that's kind of an exchange that could be fruitful at the end of the day, maybe.
Is the rest to be in the middle?
That's why, for example, we created let's say during this first year, we're going to have a visit to 5 big cities in Serbia, and we're going to spread the message in a way. We're going to bring some multinational corporations with us. We're going to bring some good examples of SMEs who are already working with multinationals. And so we're going to have education versus networking events, where we can all learn about different sides and challenges that both sides are having, and at the end of the day, spread the message about what we do and how our project can help them, particularly, or any other project out there on the field.
So we invite actually then everyone to collaborate on this one, and it's going to be, well, definitely more active mandate of ours from I mean, when I say ours, I mean CirEkon's mandate from the next year. I would like to ask for the questions, just to pull out if we have some questions from the audience. Comments. Okay. Nice. Okay, so 2 comments. Then I would like to invite the audience to use the questions and answers option to Zoom freely. We would like to hear your opinion, or even more to hear your questions. What are doubts? What are what are the opportunities that you see, and what do you think that our panelists today can answer? Before that, I will then continue with maybe a last round of questions, which would be to Mr. Ceremida. So you have the extensive experience in development, and how do you see the UNDP's role in innovative SMEs in the future? As we've mentioned, bottom-up approach several times, and we know that the innovation comes usually from the market and from these inventive people. So what is the role of UNDP in this context of innovative SMEs, particularly these with a focus on circular economy? How do you support the collaboration that we mentioned as well in previous speeches?
Well, thank you for the question. First of all, I would like to say that the innovation as such is extremely important, and we do not innovate enough across Western Balkans. If you see the statistics on investment in innovation in Serbia, in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and other countries, it's very, very low. It's much lower than, I would say, EU average when compared to the GDP data. So we need to really step up and increase the amount of funds available for innovation, because this is the only way how we can long-term ensure economic growth that's based on technology, know-how, etc. That being said, we do have innovative companies across the sectors. Some sectors are obviously more inclined to be more innovative than the others, but nevertheless, we have seen that also, for example, agriculture, which is traditionally seen as a old sector or something very traditional, is innovating, is investing in robots, in IoT, IE, blockchain, and other technologies that are extremely important for further development of those sectors. What we are doing within UNDP is actually creating really innovation ecosystem in the country by linking science technology organizations, parks, developing science technology parks, for example, in Sarajevo, Banja Luka. We are now also part of the initiative to design and develop a green design center in Mostar, which is going to be focused on construction industry primarily for the time being, but also probably later on is going to have a spillover effect to design within different industries. And those centers are important because people who are willing to innovate or who would like to see innovation in practice can go and see how this can be done. Very often, as I said at the beginning, companies have the idea how to do it, but they need to make this product or this new technology process, whatever, market ready, and somebody needs to research that for them. And this is where we see probably the biggest problem across the region, is that the educational system currently in place does not use their own capacities to transfer research and development into the business community. We had, 30, 40 years ago, we had those institutes who were, their primary reason or for existence was to actually research and investigate different modalities, how to apply different technologies and really innovate the processes, business processes, and then put them later on into practice and start using it. And this is not really happening today. And this is really why also smaller companies cannot innovate, because it's just too expensive. It takes too much time. They are usually copying what's available on the market. They are adopting what's already there and easily accessible. But innovation as such is a hugely important factor, one of the key enablers for circularity and also for sustainable growth in general. And we need to do much, much, much more if we want to have concrete and good results in the future. There's also education. You know that rarely companies, maybe the big ones, are employing scientists to work on in their companies, and this needs to happen very often. It has to be linked also with the subsidies provided by the government, to say, for example, that if you are employing scientists and work on a research and development, you can have some benefits in terms of maybe reduced taxation policies, whatever. So this needs to happen, and it's not happening enough.
When you mentioned, Mr. Ceremida, the thing with education and employing scientists in companies, it reminded me on a initiative in the Netherlands that was brought by one of the majors, or actually a couple of majors, a couple of major universities there. There was a promotion of getting the PhD while you're working as a at the high management level. Back then I was like, yeah, that's one-on-one win. But then when I started to work, I saw actually what is the reason why usually directors or top management level are not going for scientific fields. And this was one of the reasons why they put this, because they saw that innovation happens when you really have someone that deeply understands the field that they're talking about. And then through the entrepreneurship from the top level can be really
applied, yeah.
Applied, yeah.
And we have a useful innovation.
Useful
Innovation
for the company as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only may happen from inside.
Right. That was just a remark from my side as a connecting point. And to Ms. Pantelic, we do see that the packaging industry is actually one of the main focus areas now for circularity. Single-use plastic or single-use packaging, etc. But there are some instances where not some, maybe even to the greater extent, instances that we proven that without packaging there will be no high-quality products, or at least longer-lasting products. How do you see this shift in the transition in policies and also in requirements affect the whole industry?
Actually, it's in the focus definitely, and the focus is on using more, actually decreasing the use of plastic packaging, and the trend is on reuse. When we're talking about cardboard packaging, we can't have that dimension of reuse of it. It's recyclable, which is okay. Most of the packaging is 100 recyclable. If you want, it can be. But I see the great opportunity in innovation, in new materials, in coats. There are also a paper don't have to be only made from the woods. It can be made from the leaves, from different sources. So that's yes, of course, you know that. So that's a great opportunity for that. We don't have to cut the forests. That's one great opportunity. The other thing is that we will be pushed by the regulations and big supply chains that will also help us to improve all of that. And what I see as a great thing, and I'm very optimistic about that, because I think that these young generations are living in pollution, in things, and they have higher standards. And I see the opportunity into them. They have the energy to change some things. And I think that with their higher standards and higher requirements and the change of the behavior of the consumers, we will go further on all of that. And I'm happy at the same time. Some years ago, nobody knew anything about all those issues. Now we are talking about circularity, about CBAM, about GRI, about ESG. So I'm very happy that we are going a step forward with all of that. And I do believe actually in all those things I'm working. I do believe in the individual approach, and that part, if we are all on the micro level, if we are all have the awareness in our own house, in our garden, to feel all those things, and if we put that onto our if we share that with our kids, learn them and everything, we will have the awareness for all of that, and we can do all of that in business too. So if we have that sense on a personal level, and I believe that with all of that we can make some kind of a mini revolution.
Yeah, what struck me was that you mentioned something that we mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, which was, if we're ahead, 2 steps, also Mr. Ceremida mentioned this, if we're 2 steps or at least 1 step ahead of the regulators, it opens the space for the market as well. apologies. That's actually the approach of BOSIS, right? Let's go ahead of the market. Let's go one step.
Don't wait for someone to give you something, to ask for you. You're doing that because you want to make, if you're doing your business, do it with purpose. And the part of our business, we call that that sustainability things, that's business with purpose. And it really is. And if we all think that what we do it with a purpose, not doing bad, not doing harm, and if we are all aware of that, I think that when we multiple those results and impacts, I think that we can change some things to better.
Sure. Thank you very much, everyone. So we are slowly approaching the end. We have one question that I would like to answer fastly, and then we would go to the concluding remarks. So let's try to be in fast 2 or 3 minutes per panelist answering this question. So to SMEs, how do you access the collaboration with the academia research sector? So with universities and institutes, what is this experience from your own vantage point? And do you advertise your needs to obtain collaboration solutions? So there are 3 actually questions, all of them regarding collaboration with universities.
I can interrupt, excuse me, maybe I would like to emphasize at the beginning, my company was founded in 2002 in order to make a bridge between praxis and science. I finished my postgraduate study in Holland.
There was a spin-off from the university.
No. That was my decision based on the Holland experience, where I learned how it is important to have sort of the experimental field where scientific research results and everything would be checked, confirmed, and translate into the language of praxis. I would like to emphasize that I collaborate perfectly well with more or less 10 very famous international universities, Wageningen, Oxford, Turin, and a lot. That with our local universities, it's work a little more difficult. It is only based on the personal good relations and not institutional. And the really good experience, what I have is with the bioscience from Novi Sad, but they start to exist just relatively recently. So I think that we believe that, I believe that our academia still has no fine sensitivity, has no, the knowledge is absolutely, please, I absolutely don't want to put on, to judge about the knowledge which exists on the university, absolutely not. I think that it is great. But the application of that knowledge on our schooling system is really, really, really very far away from our needs and demands.
So to conclude, there is actually a network, your own network, that is driving this. There is no place that you can advertise your needs towards university. And this is only my assumption that the core of this question was, how can I know actually which university can help me about the thing that I have as a core question, how to develop, right? You have to map, right? And there is nothing still as a mechanism to help the SMEs to know what university and how to approach them without most probably greater transaction costs, like losing time and not focusing on the things that you want to do, etc., administration.
Yes, and academia has to have orientate. Yes, it is different, and there's academia is pressed with different press. I don't know, with different force, and I think that it is also a process of learning and teaching.
The thing that you mentioned about the experiment is very important. I would like to have a webinar only about that as well. Ms. Pantelic, you wanted to contribute.
Yes, I see this as a big opportunity in collaboration and in cooperation with all the stakeholders. But I see actually because I'm on both sides. I see the change last years, because when you go on the scientific research conferences, more and more you're having papers with the examples from business. So I see that it's more. Even some days ago it was a big conference in Novi Sad, and even 15 papers were about circular economy. So that's something more, and most of them were with the examples from the companies and the research. So I see something is happening, and it's a trend even on the universities with Bologna and everything, that you're having visiting lecturers from business side, from different sectors. So I hope it will be better. But comparing to some years ago, I can see a small move in all of that.
Yeah.
And I see really a big advantage in cooperation, because we are all on the same task. So
Right.
all the stakeholders to make things better.
Thank you very much. Any maybe contributions about this university SME relation from other panelists? Okay, perfect. I mean, perfect. Maybe for some other time. Just wanted, because I'm keeping the mind on the time, and wanted to have also this, if there are no more questions, no? Okay. Wanted to have this last very fast concluding question. Let's try to be 2 minutes per panelist. What would be 3 key barriers for your vantage point for the SME to break into the market with circular solution? Whoever wants to start. 3 key barriers, very short argumentation, nothing too long to explain.
Maybe I can. Oh, go ahead.
Please.
So 3 barriers, I think it's change in lifestyle of consumers as a number 1. Number 2 is access to green finance. And number 3, probably regulations or policy work that's going to enable different circular business models.
Thank you very much.
I do agree.
100%.
Just then supply chain.
And maybe to add that it is not only changing of the lifestyle, it is also increasing the standard of the population, who will have a peace of mind, ready to accept new things, and not only struggling in daily surviving.
Because this needs to work for everyone.
Yeah,
Not only for the ones that can pay the higher price of the product, right?
Of course, it is not about the price. It is about the understanding and taking something which is different in compare with the mainstream.
I'm agreeing with all the colleagues.
Yeah.
We don't have anything to add.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I would then just fastly conclude. I think maybe we don't have any more questions. Okay, so yeah, this is the technical question. So the final remark or final conclusion, for at least from my side, would be bottom-up innovation, simplification of what we're doing, not simplification in the way we communicate, and stay ahead of the curve, because that will bring you market access. I guess these are 4 remarks, but I'm very happy that we have many of conclusions. We'll definitely collate them and maybe write a short report on what we've concluded on this webinar as an introduction to the next discussion, panels, conferences, or maybe roundtables. Thank you very much for being the guest here. Thank you very much, Mr. Ceremida. It was a pleasure having you, but also I'm a little sad because we couldn't sit together. Most probably, hopefully, soon enough, we'll continue our discussions.
Absolutely, yes. We'll see you in Belgrade soon.
Yes.
And also, excuse me, Milan, I would use opportunity that maybe it will be very good idea that next time such a webinars and conference you organize in some of SME where the circularity is applied. So why not?
Yes.
It will be super good and for us, like a sort of marketing, and for you to touch something which is circular. So
Let's try maybe to implement this as immediately as possible. Thank you very much also
Thank
to
you.
the audience. And one remark and one reminder, feel free to register for the Balkans Go Circular conference. It will be held on 22nd November in Belgrade, but also hybrid. Stay in touch with us. Follow us via social networks, type CirEkon, you can find us, and there you can find all the remaining information that is necessary. Maybe put up the last slide just to have this as a Balkan Go Circular. And thanks everyone, and hopefully see you soon.
thank you.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.